Let's talk about bridging the gap to supersize and grow your business. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, and our idiom for today is bridging the gap, or to bridge the gap. Now, bridging, the concept of creating a causeway or a go-between two spots, is an ancient term, and it's been discussed for centuries. Gap, on the other hand, didn't show up. The word gap, meaning to describe the chasm between the two things, the thing we want to put a bridge across, like a river or a cliff or two sides of a cliff, etc. The gap idea didn't come around until beginning, actually the turn of the 14th century is when it's from. It's again, another very old term. So bridging the gap, the idea, the concept, the idiom has been around for a very long time. Literally, to bring two things, two people, two groups, two things closer together, to connect them in some way so as to make the communication, because we're talking about communication in this year's annual challenge, to get your goals annual challenge. This month's all about communication goals. So how do we bridge that gap? Secretly, but not so secretly, smart business people understand that one of the most important gaps they need to bridge is the gap between the customer's problem and your solution, the solution you provide them with. We need to bridge that gap and bring the two together so that we can offer solutions for the problems that the people we have and that we're here to serve have, in order for them to buy our products and services. So there's all different kinds of gaps, right? I talk about gaps and filling the gap literally at least 2 times a month in this year's annual challenge and last year's annual challenge, and probably every challenge I've ever had. I've talked about the difference between where we are and where we want to be, our current situation versus our desired situation. That's a gap that our goals and we are personally always trying to fill. And we do that with our definition of things and words and terms. So if we want to have a successful supersized business, that's right here. That's the top of the mountain. And here we are as we're on our journey to achieving that. How do we fill that gap? How do we get from where we are to where we want to go? And that's what we talk about several times a month in the annual challenge, as well as in, I think I talk about it every single day with the people that I'm here to serve, because that's what I do. I help them to take the next step to fill the gap, and then the next step and the next step. That's how we get anything that we want in life, is by taking one step at a time to move toward what we want. So we can fill the gap with information, with education, with courses and mentors and coaches, and through training, through improved skills and experiences. Through experiences, we can start to fill that gap. It depends what kind of a gap we're talking about. Is it a skills gap? Well, then we need to acquire those skills. So if I'm not a great organizer, I need to acquire or hire someone. You can always say, well, who could do this better than me? Do I really need to acquire and learn that skill, or could someone else do it and I can just hire it done? And we get the same result, but I don't physically have to do it myself. The older I get and the smarter I get, the more I outsource, number one, everything I don't like to do, and number two, everything I'm not great at or good at. If I'm not good at it, it's probably because I don't like to do it. And I'm going to find somebody that I can supplement my organization or my life with that will do that for me. Prime example, housework. I'm not very good at housework because I don't like housework. So I have people help me with the things that have to get done. Just because they have to get done doesn't mean I have to do them. Sometimes we need to fill a financial gap, a funding gap. And so what do? We go out and we find sources of funding. We find sources of cash to help our cash flow. And that's specifically in our business. And then emergency action plans, to me, are another way to fill the gap. The gap between unexpected emergency things that are bound to happen in our business and when we can solve those problems that come up in our business every day. So we hire experts, we hire different, we have insurance, we have different contingency plans and things in place. So if we lose a key individual in our business, we're not out and we're not struggling to make sure that we keep moving forward smoothly. Because guess what? People are a resource that come and go in our business, right? Almost never. That's not true either. I had people that were with me for 30 years in some of my businesses. So some people, but that's really, really rare, right? It's very rare for people to stay with us throughout all the changes and things that happen in our different businesses. So emergency action plans are a help. I would love to know your experience and your thoughts on this particular idiom. Like I said, I talk about filling the gap, bridging the gap, and filling the gap to me and bridging the gap are the same thing. I use them interchangeably, but literally probably almost every day, but for sure twice a month as part of the annual challenge. So share in the comments below your experience with this idiom, your thoughts on this idiom, and how you think it is impacting your business right now. And I will, of course, meet you tomorrow with another interesting idiom. What does it mean? Where does it come from? Is it ancient and very, very old, centuries old like this one? Or is it something brand new like yesterday's, which was just from the 1960s? We never know until we research them. Have a great day, and I'll, of course, see you tomorrow. Bye.